Hey, so who you asked? That's what yeah.
As someone.
Like she was talking to me, like, I know.
The lag isn't even that bad. Pretty good. We never wanted. It's gonna be the best thing to pull up and you just. Oh,
Safety 101.
yeah. You just can't tell.
Oh, wasn't like, I think One
Remember I
was-
got shit for my birthday?
one was some.
My signs.
Bro, he just like.
Very, yeah, that's.
Oh, you like shit?
And-
106.
Like,
Yeah. I pay this for. Misha walking. Yeah, definitely.
So it's very fun. You don't have the cars? Oh.
Wait, can you eat this one?
Yeah. Cancel is also. I brought a salad.
Chicken?
My stomach is.
Oh, really?
More I see, the more I think.
I have that too, but I think I enjoy it. It's probably lactose intolerant. I do actually have that, but I also drink.
It's like funny lactose intolerance.
I think
I like it all scratchy.
No, it's the type where the bathroom will suffer later on.
Oh, okay, not the funny.
No, not at all. It's not.
Try to actually test it.
Well, it's better than it's clever.
Oh, it's I don't know exactly if we have enough for everybody, so try to go for like one toast and like 3 chicken or something.
Yeah, one foot, 2 chickens.
Yeah.
25.
In like that.
Look at that.
How do I
show like her saying. Like,
show like the video?
No, you just.
I do. I am sharing it. So how do I show like?
like, I know.
Oh, there's
It kind of was in like, before the semester started, I was like, I do know that. Like, I know. She's very like.
All the questions. It's great.
It has to be like, although. Wait, Brett, get on the panel, bro. I got another shirt. But, join us, man.
I will say, ever since I started.
I know.
I'm like.
I mean.
Like,
I think it's just like.
I'm nervous. We're basing our speaking the wrong. No.
Come on, yeah, come on, you're not in the club, are you? Yeah.
We just need to see on the panel.
We're only talking like QCS. VP of numbers.
You said that, right?
Pretty dire.
Channel is there.
Like-
I think Brett should be on the panel. Wait, why?
Brett
was Abby there? And, Brett, you could be on the panel. Let's all fill up. Literally. Since we started showing up, attendance just.
Yeah, I mean, look at who else.
Really
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
We do.
It was so silly also. It was
Yeah.
semester.
So small.
Yeah. I am taking.
It's nice when you don't talk
Writing,
about
right?
things. Oh, that's really good one.
Bro.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Engineering, computer,
Wait, I'm gonna say.
linear,
In the-
quantum, and discreteness. Yeah.
I will.
If you have credit for like other classes.
Don't do that, but it's true.
Oh, sorry. Apparently someone put it. Somebody said they wanted to. I was like, bro, why are you doing this?
Oh, that was our engineering.
The number of threads.
Running the concept of being-
I seen no one.
I think that.
There we go.
Can I use one of your napkins? Yeah, it's really not good last time.
You should have talked about.
You monitoring the chat?
I will monitor the chat with chat.
Thank you.
Spamming is probably my best good.
Spam.
I think they should go ahead, but I'm gonna turn on this mic just in case. Alright. Alright, so. Where's Sully?
What?
So why don't you start, Sully, introducing everybody, or start the spiel?
Okay, I don't know, not many of you guys have been to these meetings before, I guess, but
We haven't had many meetings, so.
yeah, we haven't had many in a while. Okay, so like every semester, because Bowie's awesome and knows everything about the CS department, we look at next semester's courses and hopefully have good things to say about them for everybody else who might take them. So there's a bunch of us up here who've taken a decent spread of courses that are going to be offered, and hopefully we can say something
So
interesting.
I'm gonna start with Brett and introduce everybody.
Oh, hi, my name's Brett. I don't know what to say about that.
What year?
Oh, senior. CS, switch from CPEG, would not recommend doing CPEG.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, I want to get into that, yeah.
I was senior. I switched from Chegg pre-med. Yeah.
I'm Christine. I'm a senior CS also.
I'm John, also senior CS.
I'm Carlo, also senior CS.
I'm Selena, also senior CS.
I'm John, senior CPEG.
Sebastian, senior CS.
Alright, so we have a good amount. Oh, and then we can't see, you're not on camera. Good that.
There's John, also senior CS.
Alright, so Javit's here. Alright, so we have a senior, so they should mostly have experience with courses. But we shall see. So do you guys just want me to go down the line?
Sure.
Alright, so. Yes.
Law that we might run into is that there's been so much turnover in the department. Like I took fun comp with Corey Pennycuff.
Yeah.
Still have trash to talk to.
Alright, so there's elements, so most people here cannot take elements, so I can just skip that. Do we have any first years here? So there's discrete with Daniel, who is a graduate student or a postdoc, I forget what he is. Anyone take it with Daniel? You want to talk about your experience?
To be honest, it's a really tough class. I'd say it's not very structured with Daniel's class compared to the other one, because you don't really have the textbook. And like Daniel's is a lot more proof based. But I mean, if you're willing to go to like all the help sessions and stuff, I think it's fine. But I think most kids struggle in that section. I don't know.
You got feedback? Who's in discrete now? So talk about your experience now?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to John a lot about his experience, and his was almost entirely proofs, it seems like, whereas ours is more just like covering a broad range of topics. Yeah, anything else to add?
Who do you have?
I don't really have
Blank of it.
anything.
Yeah, it's like pretty straightforward, I feel like. We followed the textbook like almost to a T, so.
I mean, it sounds like this section is designed for like just the masses, so I don't know if there's any kind of like bias towards like the previous section being for like people that are supposed to know what they're doing, there's people that don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
John?
One thing I will say about taking discrete early, if you're a freshman, is it opens the door to you taking the other like mathy classes kind of when you want to. So I took it fall of my sophomore year, and then I was like, oh, I can take theory in the spring. So I took that the last time Corey taught it because I knew it'd be easier. So I got theory out of the way easily, and then I had the leeway to pick to take Tejo for algs, which is the best. So.
All right. So let's go to archaeology of hacking. This is a new course. It's a collaboration or integration course with I think someone from anthropology and Walter, who's from our department. So it's called archaeology of hacking. So it's sort of like a history course, maybe a little bit of technical stuff on the side, but not too hard because it's only a 20,000 level course. So I think if you're interested in the history of computing, into hacking, I think it should be a lot of fun. I had to look at the syllabus. It looks like a lot of fun. And so it's open to, I guess, basically anyone. So any questions about this course? Yeah, Bill here, Bill. We'll get to Bill in a second. All right, so we have lodge design. It's your sophomore, you kind of just have to take it. Would you guys suggest pushing that back or just get it out of the way?
Isn't it prereq for Compark though?
It's a prereq for
So just
Compark.
get it out of the way.
Well, I mean, if you're a CS major, you can technically push it back.
It's not that hard and it's kind of cool.
It'll just never be like super fun. So if you just like get it out of the way, it's kind
Lodge
of.
design TA here, so.
If you need to drop it, like let's just say you're having a really tough semester, like drop logic, because you can kind of take it whenever and then just take Compart.
So one thing that second year students or sophomore students may realize is that the spring sophomore year is probably one of your hardest semesters. Because if you're on the normal course schedule, you will have systems programming, data structures, and logic design, and possibly linear, and possibly physics or problem stats or whatever. So it's gonna be a very workload intensive semester, and you'll probably hit yourself. So one suggestion, if you are a CS major, is you can consider possibly dropping logic if you have to, or just not taking it at all and just pushing it to junior year. And that doesn't set you back really at all in terms of overall progression through our curriculum.
I think, can I counter that? If you're studying abroad, you should just like suck it up and take it, because you don't want to be a senior taking that class.
Right.
You don't want to be a senior taking comp.
That's true. If you're studying abroad, then you definitely want to take it. On the flip side, if you're CPEG, you definitely want to take logic design, and you always want to take data structures as early as you can. Systems is the course you may want to consider letting go if it gets overwhelming. And I say that as someone who teaches systems. So systems is the course that you could probably get away with pushing to junior. You probably shouldn't, but you can.
I want to add one thing about logic design too, as a CPEG. So I think that the EE department offers a course that's called Embedded Systems, which a lot of CPEGs like to take, but logic design is a prereq for that. So if you're a CPEG and you're interested in that lower level stuff, definitely take logic design early. So you can take that with the other EEs when they're juniors instead of as a senior with a lot of juniors. But I think the EE department just changed embedded systems so that it's a 200 level course and that electrical engineers don't have to take logic design. So I'm not sure how it changes stuff, but yeah, I think as a CPEG, you do want to take it early because it kind of helps you see if you actually want to stay as a CPEG or switch to CS. So
that's the other thing is if you're borderline between CPEG and CS, take logic design, that will convince you right away that you want to be CS. All right, fun comp, I believe, again, this is first years. Who has the option of taking this? Do you have any questions about that?
Not really. There's kind of only like one section, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, about whether or not you should take it or not?
I guess, should I take it? Yeah.
We Ramsey 100%.
Yeah. Randy's the only one that teaches it.
Oh, both semesters?
So,
Yeah.
oh, I guess. So took it early. Who here took it early?
Me, but with Penco.
Penco as well. Hey, apparently you just did the same track as me, exactly. Everything you said was effective.
We've
been in, like, all the same
Setting
classes.
aside that structure, what do you guys think in terms of taking it early? Did it help you? Or did it hurt you? What do you
It
think?
totally helps.
Yeah, just make everything more flexible.
Yeah.
Because you can just like take everything sooner.
As someone who wished they could have taken it early, because I got kind of screwed in that semester that we talked about, and then the one after, and then the one after, and then the one now. So take anything early if you can.
the required courses really.
Yeah.
It opens up electives for you a bit like later on, and it also spreads out the workload of required classes, which
I think if you can take fun comp early, you take fun comp early. And then in the following fall, you definitely want to take data structures. That's the one course you want to take, because that's gonna help you with your internships. And it also unlocks a bunch of electives. So I would take definitely that sequence. Data structures, again, if you're a second year, just take it. You have to, you want to, so take that. Service projects, does anyone have any feedback about service project? Yeah.
I took it when it was online and over this, or I don't know if most of you guys were here for this semester that we had COVID and then we had like a winter session in between the two semesters. I took it then and it was kind of it was easy, but also like it got to the point where the busy work made it feel like it was a chore, even though it was easy. And so I think you can take like a variable number of credits, like 1, 2, or 3. If you have any like, I don't want to say the word fragmented, but if you have like, for example, like you need 1 more credit as opposed to 3, like maybe like slide a few credits of that in there. But I was like, it's probably more for seniors.
I'm in it now and it's pretty doable. It's nice. It only meets like once per week and then you can choose kind of what nonprofit you want to work with. So I think if you're looking for like another like easy class, kind of fill your hours, especially if you're taking other hard classes, then you should consider taking.
It's very unstructured, right?
Yeah.
So if you need something that's flexible, choose your own adventure type thing, that works. And I think it works at multiple levels, right? And there's like a junior version and there's like a senior version in terms of the course level.
I think for our class, it just meets once per week and maybe you register for a different.
Yeah, so I
section.
mean, it registers for,
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
there's a 3,000 or 30,000 and then I'm sure there's a 4,000 one. So again, that's always gonna be a possibility, you know, throughout your 3 years that you can take that type of course. Labs, you can skip. So one thing I want to point out is that there's always an option to do undergraduate research. And so you can always ask a professor, or professors may ask for people who are interested in doing undergraduate research. And sometimes that's for pay, but you can also do for course credit. If you do for course credit, you can do, I believe, up to 3 a semester, 6 overall, and those will take the place of a CSE elective or a tech elective. Did any of you do it for credit? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, or you can go ahead.
You can talk.
All right, yeah, I did it for credit. I did it with Thane, Douglas Thane. He's a beast. He's great. He works in the Center for, what is it?
Cooperative Computing Lab.
Cooperative Computing Lab. It's like a distributed systems lab, basically. There's a lot of work in it. You can do front end and back end stuff. I mostly did I basically did nothing in that lab. Brett was in that lab and he did some really cool stuff. So maybe you can talk about that. But yeah, if I went back next semester, I would hope I do cooler things because there's a lot of cool things to do in that lab. And you learn a lot from grad students as well. That's actually really cool.
Brett, do you want to talk about your experience?
Yeah, I don't know what's that cool in it, but I just did some Python stuff. But
I printed out error messages. I think anything's better.
I think we kind of was like make this like this serverless computing kind of thing. It was interesting, but the more interesting part was just kind of listening to the PhD students talk about what they're doing, and just listening to Thane kind of talk about like he's kind of in classes you don't really learn much about actual software engineering and like or software development, and like in the lab they're actually making software. So it's kind of cool to see how like maintaining a project kind of works. But I don't know if that's true for all research. That's just what I know.
It's good insight. Selena, do you want to talk about your experience?
Yeah, so I'm currently in the iTrades program, and one of the requirements is doing research. So I'm doing 2 credits this semester, 1 credit next semester. Working with Professor Ron Matoyer's lab. So his focus is on like human computer interaction, user design, user experience. Working on like visualization and front end, and like how like food nutrition and like is communicated in the online world.
Anyone else? Sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Yeah. I also did research. It was because I did research over the summer with Professor Jane Cleland Wong in her drone lab. And I worked on the visualization of like the state machines for drones. I thought it was pretty cool and it's very flexible. It's usually just like a meeting once or twice a week. And so I recommend doing research. It's pretty cool.
All right. So that was undergraduate research. So the first junior level course we have here is theory of computing with David. Does anyone want to talk about this? So who's in theory now? You guys want to talk about your experience with theory? Joseph?
I hate it.
Why? Do you want to explain why you hate it?
I just don't think I vibe with the teacher.
I love Kogi. Yeah. He's a great guy. So old and wise.
Yeah.
No, Kogi makes the classroom.
How about in terms of the content material?
I know. That was a genius.
He's also a genius.
What was it?
It's similar to Greek, but there's a lot of differences. Some people say it's like easier. For me, it's a lot of the technical terms that like bog me down. So like,
So this is definitely more of a theory, well,
Yeah.
theory, mathematical.
yeah.
Does anyone take it with David?
Oh, I'm taking PL with David now, and I think I'll be a TA for theory for next semester.
Oh, so you'd be a theory too.
Yeah, and so I was already theory TA before. I was theory TA for Dussel. Which is why you should take it. I'm just kidding. But Chang, like honestly, for PL is like really, like I feel like I sort of get what you're talking about, Cody, because I also had him for like a different class. I think I get where you're coming from. I think Chang is a lot more like, will be a lot more like communicative than Kogi is, or just I don't know, like I'm trying to explain it better. I think the Chang with theory will probably be better than theory with Kogi. I don't know.
Seb,
If-
I think Seb wants to say something.
Like I took theory with a grad student who was very good and is no longer here, but I know that Chang wrote like all the infrastructure for like visualizing like a whole bunch of software for virtualizing like Turing machines and like DFA. Yeah. So I'm sure that like as the master of that course, kind of like who wrote it here, I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be a good teacher, professor.
Dave's like the biggest brain in the department, so
Yeah.
he scares me. I talk to him, like, wow, he's a genius. Next course is computer networks. Oh, go ahead.
What do you like recommend taking theory of computing as a sophomore?
Wait, John, you did that, right?
Yeah. Your sophomore spring.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. It kind of depends what else you're doing at the same time. Like, what was I in? I was in systems, logic design, theory, a social science, and then I don't remember what the other one was. And oh, it was linear. Linear was the other one. It was like hard, but it wasn't that bad. Like I got through it. Like systems is fine when he's teaching it. Just go to his office hours.
Colin does a great job too.
Yeah. Well, like I don't mean that as a diss on Colin. I mean, it's like fine in terms of effort when you're teaching it.
The only thing I would say about theory, from my understanding, is that, you know, David actually has programming assignments. And so he expects you to have a pretty good grasp of programming. So like knowing which data structures to use and things like that. Like that's his number one complaint. He's like, why are these kids all using lists all the time? Like, don't they know how to use a dictionary? I'm like, well, hopefully, now that I think you're in data structures, right? Not to throw up you or anything. But hopefully you have a handle on that. And so you should be able to program that. But he does expect a certain level of programming maturity to take theory. That's the only sort of hesitation I would say.
I was gonna say, just theory with Kogi also has programming assignments right now, but I don't know, I mean, we have project 2 due on Friday and project 1 hasn't been graded yet, so I don't know how hard they're gonna be with that, but it feels a bit, I don't know, it's like project 1 was related to something we barely did in class. It felt kind of out there. It was something more that Professor Kogi enjoyed. So, I mean, it's fine. I think the class is fine. I have an unpopular opinion where I do recommend the class, even if you don't have to take it, but that might be because.
No, I think I actually heard that a lot from CPEGs.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel I appreciate a lot of the other stuff I learned with theory. So I definitely do think you could take that if you're really interested. You definitely don't have to. You'll be finding your job without it. But the course with Kogi is, I think it's good. It feels a bit unorganized at times.
Yeah.
It could be better. It could be structured better, but yeah, I mean, I haven't taken with Chang, so I'm not sure. But I do recommend CPEX.
Wait, do
Take it.
we skip systems?
Yeah, we did.
You went really fast through systems.
You just want
We can
I
talk
mean-
about that.
Should I skip? No. Yeah,
Drop out.
you should skip systems. Alright, let's go to computer networks. This is gonna be a new faculty member. They're currently at University of Nebraska, Omaha. We hired them and then they'll be coming in for the spring. Full-time person, it's just their contract, whatever. But they'll be new faculty, very experienced with wireless stuff and network stuff. I'm not sure how much experience they have with teaching computer networks, but we didn't have this last year because we had a faculty member leave. So if you're a senior, this is really your only, well, yeah, this is the only shot. If you're a junior, computer networks will probably be offered going forward. But if you enjoy things like making a web server, doing a chat program, computer networks does that sort of low level stuff of how that stuff works. So, yep.
They did all that last year. I took it last.
Yeah, I took it last semester too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how was that?
It was really fun. It was like, it was a lot of work actually, but like the projects, we kind of didn't. It was like 3 projects. They didn't really give you any structure on it. And they kind of really didn't. I think it was like the class content, but they're really cool because it was like, yeah, the first one was like a file transfer thing. I forgot what the other one was. It was like,
There was a Wordle one.
it was like a competitive Wordle. It's a lot of like, I don't know, one was multi-threaded. That was really cool. And like just web client server, like it's more experience, like do it in systems, but you get more experience with that, with this class. It was really cool. And just like, I don't know, if you're interested in how the internet works, it's kind of a fun. Like,
Only thing I would say is that. So as you mentioned, you might do like multi-threaded stuff.
Yes.
You don't get that until you take OS.
Yes.
So it might pay off to take that concurrently with OS or take OS before you take computer networks. But if you're ambitious, you can still figure it out. It's just you have to do the extra work.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I'd definitely say take OS before taking networks, just for the threading stuff. I mean, your understanding of threads in networks doesn't have to be that good, so you could definitely just manage and be fine,
Just
but
don't share anything.
yeah. But definitely take OS before if you can. I thought the class was cool, like Brett said, it's the material was interesting. I didn't do so well in the class, but that was my fault. I'm not gonna blame the instructor for that one. But the projects were not really related to the class material at all, which was kind of annoying, but overall it was a good class. So if you can take it and you have the space and time for it and it's something that interests you, I do recommend it.
All right. Next one is computer architecture. So we have a couple people in that course now, right?
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about their experience with, so this would be a new instructor or a different instructor. It says Doctor Who. I don't believe that because I think she's working for the NSF right now. I think this might actually be a an adjunct that I think from last time I saw is from the CRC. So it'd be brand new mysterious instructor that I've never met. But anyone want to talk about the content of the course?
Take it right after LD if possible.
Which back to back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually true, because you start with Albacore.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you move on to ARM, and then you start doing
Pipeline.
stuff more like pipelining, cache, stuff like that.
They literally are designed to go back to back. Do
Yeah.
that if possible.
And definitely take OS with it if you can, because you're gonna cover a lot of the same stuff. Like
Yes.
all the virtual memory things, I would go to Bowie's lecture and be like, oh, this makes sense, and then not go to Compark. I mean, it worked out just fine.
Yeah, that's.
Also, another point is I thought Compark would be a lot more hardware stuff, but it was just not that at all. So
EMW.
yeah, that wasn't it at all. It was honestly a pipelining class. That's how it felt towards the end, which wasn't my favorite. I mean, I get why it's important to know, but personally, I didn't like the class that much. But definitely take it with OS if you can.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to talk about Compark? Well, we have a special guest. We have the instructor for Paradigms. Bill, you want to come on up?
No.
All right, Bill, do you want to give a pitch for Paradigms?
Hey, everyone. I'm teaching Paradigms next semester. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'll make it easy.
So for context, Bill is a 4th year grad student?
Fifth.
No,
You're getting old, bud.
5th year graduate student. So this will be his first time instructor record.
Yeah.
And so He doesn't get a lot of control, a lot of editorial control, but he will be driving the bus. So he doesn't get to make the route. He gets to drive the bus. So is that accurate?
Yeah, more or less.
So I will say, Bill had, when I was younger and Bill TA for me. He was very helpful. Went out of his way. He's very good in office hours, 1-on-1. So don't be put off by his snarkiness. He's actually a good guy. Don't tell him I said that though. All right, operating systems. And you want to talk about OS? So this is with Striegel. So in the spring, it usually rotates between Thane and Striegel. This year it's Striegel. Did anyone take it with Striegel? As you probably wouldn't, because you had. Thane.
Networks, he taught networks.
Oh, you thought
Not
networks.
networks
So you want
last
to talk
year.
about networks then, or your experience of him as an instructor in networks?
He's very friendly, so like, but I mean, sometimes he kind of rambled on about stuff that kind of was hard to follow, but he definitely knows what he's talking about. So if you ask him, he'll explain it to you well, but also is like very dry sometimes. So at least in networks, we would, they're like an hour and a half or hour 15-minute classes, and all you do is just keep talking. So after a while, it would kind of be hard to stay awake. But OS is entertaining enough that you.
I know at least one Silicon Valley individual in here. Are there any like abroad people that are gonna take OS? Carlo and I guess. Did any of you take OS abroad?
I took it with me.
Yeah, well, OS abroad is like watered down. You don't do the, or like some of the projects you'll get assigned are similar, but you don't have like either like the instruction that's good to follow, like what would be required of a project of that like caliber. But it's not as difficult abroad as it is here.
Anyone else? Want to talk about OS?
If you're a junior, I probably wouldn't push it off to senior year, just because there's other stuff, or it might take a slot of an elective that you really want. But if you're a sophomore, I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can take it as a junior, maybe take it with Thane, who is amazing.
All right, let's go on to algorithms with Tejo. I think we got some Tejo fans here.
I can take it.
Absolutely.
1,000,000%.
Who here has not taken algorithms? We'll probably be in this course. Oh, so Brett, you'll be in this with Tejo? Who here is in algorithms now? Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Seb.
I was fearing this class for, I guess like since I joined the CS department, and it isn't that bad. But I also try to be an academic weapon and sit in the front. Not even that, like there's no information like going into my brain because it's like lectures are not useful. Like I know most people like think of skipping, but it's algs and it's pretty interesting sometimes.
Yeah. I would say like half the lectures are useful. Other half are like, at this point, he's talking about like use cases and like his research, and I just like do homework in that part. If you take programming challenges with Bowie before this class, in general, like it's gonna help a lot. And then Danny's a beast. Like he's a great lecturer. I love listening to him. He's funny as hell.
Good outfits too.
Great.
Speaking it right now.
Danny.
Danny Chen.
I think I can say for both Selena and I that like the way that Tejo thinks about it is like amazing, because he just wants you to he wants you to look at a problem that he could give you and start thinking like, oh, I have an idea of how to go at this, and like to just get there eventually. Which is like exactly what you're gonna do when you're actually doing things. Like I see problems now and I'm in PC after taking algs. And I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's whatever algorithm. But also he really just wants you to learn. And so if you go to his office hours, he will help you a lot. He won't just give you the answer, but he'll walk you through how to get there. And then on his like tests and homeworks and stuff, if you just at least explain how you think you would do it, you'll probably get a lot of the credit. So he's awesome.
Super, super, super nice.
We'll give you candy too. So.
Yeah, he'll give you candy.
Candy to every class.
Versus chocolate. That's a very important distinction.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. I think going off of what John said, like Teo's super, super helpful in office hours. Like a lot of his problem sets are pretty hard. Like you just can't really do them without going either his office hours or the TAs. I was in there every Tuesday, Thursday for an hour, and I would just like walk in, and he's like, all
From my
right.
recollection, people like sent ambassadors to his office. They would learn whatever, they would go back to the friend group.
And explain.
That was like a ritual of like a UN council meeting, learning what you need to learn, go back or disperse the information.
But he's like super helpful. He'll walk you through essentially like how to do the entire problem set so that you can get it done on time.
I think in contrast to that, Danny Chen's problem sets are pretty easy. One time, and the exam was also really easy as well.
Yes.
I'm not gonna show us recording, I don't want to change the title.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. We have a question here, yes.
I'm in cryptography with Teo right now, and it's great, so highly recommend. I'm sad I can't take Alex with him.
Yeah, I heard cryptography is a great course as well. How about computer graphics? Has anyone taken computer graphics? Or a class with Charlie? Nobody? So computer graphics, if I click on this thing right here. So these days they use WebGL. So this is basically you use JavaScript in your web browser. And you learn how to put triangles on your screen. And so, you know, you play video games or you watch animation. Underneath that, to do that, they use technology. These days it's Vulkan or DirectX. OG is OpenGL, and WebGL is just a sort of cross-platform version of that. So you learn the basics of how to use that. You learn about the linear algebra and the matrices that's actually used by your GPU to actually do the transformations, the scaling, and stuff like that. And then you also talk about, I apologize, the pipeline, the graphics pipeline that is used by the GPU to render things. And then you can manipulate that pipeline by using what's called shaders or shading language. So that's GLSL. So you learn about all those basic things and you get to basically make a cool portfolio of random just little widgets and gadgets. So I've seen students make like a clock animation, they make video games, they make like, what did Jerry make last year? He also made like the sun rotating or the earth rotating around the sun and the moon rotating around the earth, animating all that, doing the physics and all that. So if you're into computer graphics, video games, animation, this will sort of give you the fundamentals of how to do that sort of stuff. All right. What else do we got? Oops, wrong computer. AI and social good with Nitesh. Anyone have any insights on this with either Nitesh or this course?
I don't think it was taught last spring.
So I think for some people you have to take this course for iTrades, right?
You have to take an elective that's kind of not as technical, so some form of like computer human type thing. So I took HCI to fill that requirement.
Okay. So AI, so when you think AI, most of you you're thinking of like machine learning and neural networks. That is actually a subset of AI. There's actually other versions of AI, which is like more logic and symbolic manipulation, search. You think about say min and max and things like that. That's a form of AI. So that course should cover not just machine learning and neural networks, but also sort of the more foundational or original types of AI. The social good aspect is that Nitesh, he is the sort of leader or the principal investigator of the Lucy Institute here on campus. So he deals a lot of how do ethics apply to artificial intelligence, machine learning, things like that. So he wants to incorporate that into the course. My understanding, a lot of this course is actually based on Walter's version of artificial intelligence. So a lot of assignments and things actually come from that previous version of AI. And so in general, I think a lot of students like Nitesh in terms of his teaching. It seems like he's obviously very intelligent, very important person in the field. And he usually works really well with students. That's about all I can say. Any questions, I guess, about, have you heard anything about this course? No. Ethics with Carla. So ethics, you guys talk about ethics in a little bit. Carla, this is her first year here. Is also first time teaching this course. She has a interesting background. She's an HCI person. She actually works on a variety of ethical issues dealing with computing. I think one thing it wasn't human trafficking, but it was, she was doing something else with how technology is used with like teenagers and things like that. Anyone want to talk about either Carla or about ethics? So,
Professor, I met her. Very, very, very nice individual. I'm excited that I get to take her, and I actually dropped ethics this semester because I was in 6 classes. So I'm excited to take it with her.
And she also recently just got a, I don't want to say promotion, but she actually a promotion in her first year. She has now an endowed chair, I think. So it's the Lucy something chair, so doing well. You want us to talk about ethics?
Talk about ethics.
Yep.
Ethics is completely hit or miss based on who's teaching it. And it basically rotates every semester. So if you're an underclassman and you hear some of the upperclassmen having a good time in ethics, take note of what professor they took it with and try to do the same.
So most likely going forward, it'd be Walter in the fall. And I'm guessing Carla in the spring, so
Oh, really? They're only training up 2 now?
probably, yeah.
Walters is easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I guess a bunch of us here are in Walters right now and
I haven't
It's-
seen any of them in class. But like the first day of class, the entire like, what, 150 person lecture hall was packed. And I go like maybe once every 3 classes now. And I walk in and there's like 40 people in this seat. So poor Walter, but that says a little about how easy it is.
Yeah, you just have weekly assignments, so like there's 2 questions every week, you have to respond to them. And then you have to do a few readings and there's a reading quiz that goes with it, but he usually tells you like what source it came out of, so sometimes you don't have to read all of them, just the ones that you
Oh
need
yeah,
to.
you just have to control F. I mean, it's not hard at all. And the reading, like, and the weekly writing prompts are not graded harshly at all. They're graded very leniently, I
Yeah,
think.
they're very subjective, and as long as you include like one quote of like from.
Even if you don't, I mean, I haven't been including stuff from class and I've been losing like 3 points out of 50 on each one. So that's a good trade-off.
I would say the one thing about ethics is that you probably want to take it with your friends.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes it more fun.
Yeah, because there's like group projects and it's with like 8 people. So you don't want to be with 8 randos. You want to be with people, you know, it just makes the whole thing much more fun for everyone involved. So
Makes making the videos a lot more.
yeah, it makes it fun.
And then
Gets an A in it with like on average an hour and 45 minutes of work a week.
the other thing I would say is that, you know, if you're a sophomore or junior, you could take ethics.
Take it as a senior.
Just take it with your friends.
If you want to take your friends, and then it's gonna be like that really easy course when you are senior icing, so.
Yeah.
You might want to just save it for the senior year, but if you have you need a really easy course to take junior year, that would also work as well, so. HCI, anyone want to talk about Toby and HCI? Lucia, you said you took HCI,
I
right?
took HCI abroad. It's a very like non-technical class. It's mostly user experience, like front end design type work. So when I took it abroad, like I didn't do any coding the entire semester. We were just like looking at websites and like how would you redesign something, or like looking at like random things like systems and how would you redesign them. I had a friend who took HCI with Professor Matoyer. He said it was also like completely non-technical, and I think his final project was like his group looked at like Zara's website and like what was wrong with it, like in regards of like trying to shop online and like suggestions they had to fix it.
Yeah, I have a few friends who are in HCI right now and they told me they haven't coded anything. They just designed like one of their assignments was like design an app that does like, just design an app. It's pretty open-ended and all they had to do was design how it would look. They wouldn't have to.
Like storyboard.
It's more
Right,
storyboard
yeah,
and
they-
sketching type work.
Yeah, they don't have to implement any of the functionality or explain how they would do it. So if you're interested in how things look and making like apps look nice, and I mean, that's how apps get you. Like, I don't think any of the apps we really use are that impressive. They're just very smart in their design. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, that could be a course you enjoy.
Like, what do they teach you? Do they teach like design philosophy or anything?
I don't know. I'm not in the course. I just see my
Speed
friends.
design principles, also like usability testing. So once you have designed something, like how do you know that like people are accurately using it how you intended for them to use it?
Any other questions? All right. Biometrics with Kevin Boyer. Anyone want to talk about either biometrics or Boyer?
I heard it's a joke.
Yeah.
I had Boyer for ethics and he was great, very like easy to talk to, very social.
I had him for my summer abroad for ethics and he's really easy.
Bill, I don't think you can talk because he's your advisor. No, he's not your advisor, he's just,
No, I just, I don't know.
oh, hi, Bill. Anything about the course, about biometrics? Here's what biometrics is. Biometrics is like, well, thumbprint, iris, facial scan, like what technologies and how would you use them to detect people, things like that. From my understanding, it is a rather straightforward course. So if you're a senior, you just want to kick back a little bit. How about computer security? Has anyone heard about Fanny or computer security? Yep.
Carlo and I took it in Silicon Valley. I'm pretty, oh wait, didn't you take it? John? No. I'm sure, I remember someone in Lug having taken, oh, it was Simon took computer security here.
Simon Jerry or
Sam Jerry.
Yeah, I took it in Silicon Valley. I thought like it was described as like, oh, you guys are gonna do like some illegal things, like very cool things. The extent of our course was hacking Linux virtual machines and injecting, like you learn some cool stuff, but it's not super transferable in the sense that like, oh, like I know how to be a menace, but it is cool actually because you start to get the perspective of like, oh, I'm building a software, like how are ways that like this could be, you know, like cracked for SQL injection or just like vulnerable to certain things. And I would say it is pretty fun. I don't know anything about workload because I took it abroad, but there's probably some things to get out of it. You just have to ask around, like see who's taking it here.
I think Jerry Simon last year took the course. They had like a really cool project where they basically hacked or they basically found the solution to the solitaire game. Like they were able to like decode what the cards were. Apparently Microsoft like tried really hard to prevent you from seeing that. And so they actually found ways to detect where the cards were and stuff like that, and then give you the solution, what moves you should make to make the solution. That was actually really cool. So you can automated solitaire playing. So that's the type of thing you could be doing. And it was a lot of like dumping memory, reading memory, figuring out the execution format, and then looking at the stack and the heap and all that crazy stuff, right? So I think that could be a lot of fun if you're into that type of stuff. Any questions, comments? All right, we're almost done. So machine learning. With Zhang, did anyone know this instructor or anything about this course? Yep.
One of my friends is taking it right now. I know it's hard. And
Hard why?
I would have to ask, and he would probably text me back, but I think it's just enjoying. It's a lot of theory, and I'm sure that obviously you probably get the chance to code like a machine learning model or stuff like that. But I guess like most people, unless you're like very, very into it, like struggle with theoretical stuff.
So this sounds like a more of a yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed like looking through the classes, that's like the only elective that's available to sophomores. So do you like recommend taking it?
Machine learning?
Yeah.
That's a sophomore.
It's a pretty brutal class.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would not.
I was unsure why they'd have like the attribute of sophomore only for that one.
Was it just like sophomore or was it like?
No, sophomore, junior, senior. But all the other ones are only junior.
Did you check your?
I wouldn't worry about that. I would just worry about if you had the prereqs.
I would take the one
Yeah,
as a sign.
It's pretty like basic prereqs. It's like data structures.
The actual coding is not going to be that hard. So it's like the actual coding, I think, is mostly Python based because you use tools like Jackson, PyTorch, and Flax and all these things. So like the amount of code knowledge you need is low, but you're gonna get it's a kind of a brain flood with theory. So like it's doable sophomore year, but you might not want to. You might want to save your senior year where you have a bit more leeway in terms of how much hard courses you stack on.
All right. How about modern web dev with Wix?
All I've heard is that it's a joke. That's what I've heard.
Web dev abroad and it was.
So this course, so Mike Wix works for the Innovation Center, so Idea Center. And so he teaches, this is a small course. You work in a semester long project with like a group of 4 or 5. And you just have to make a website using modern web development tools. So some people, if you're the type of person that just needs structure to be forced into learning this stuff, this would help. If you're like, I can learn this stuff on the side on my own, I already make my own websites, and it's probably not a very useful course. If you're a person who's like, I don't have time to do side projects, but I want something good, look on my resume, Well, again, this is a course that will literally force you to make a project, so. I wouldn't dismiss it completely. People do get something out of it. You just gotta figure out where you fit on that spectrum in terms of, do I just want a course that makes you build a website in a group, right? Because they always want to ask you in an interview, tell me about a project you did. Well, what's that one time someone did, carry their weight? What'd you do? It's like, well, that was me, but but something to consider. Now, along the lines is advanced database projects. So none of you have taken this.
No.
You have?
No, I took normal databases and in general Ramsey kind of plugged it. I know that it's easier than the normal databases, but databases is a prereq. And it's with Ramsey, it's a lot more like databases, I would say is not an easy A, like it's obviously next semester, we're probably gonna review it at some point. But you learn a lot, it's very useful. And this one is more like project based. And I think like Ramsey kind of has like prizes for like whatever, like who makes the best project and stuff like that.
Yeah, so advanced database is actually similar to modern web dev. It's you work in a group the whole semester on a project that, surprise, has to use a database. I've seen projects that didn't quite use a database, but it's supposed to use a database. And then as part of the project presentation, you actually present to a panel of judges, and at graduation, they will award groups money, like $500 or something like that, right? And so, but the idea is basically, again, just make a cool project, use a database. So it's not super structured. It's a group-based sort of thing. It's sort of capstone type course.
Yeah, it's also the only other course that Ramsey teaches. So if you really enjoy them in fun comp, I would suggest taking it as well.
Doesn't he teach visual
No,
effects?
it's moved on to the
Oh,
graduate.
okay.
So let's talk about secure software engineering with Santos. Yes.
So I had Joanna for Paradigms, and I was pretty close with her because like she was new and she identified with her. Paradigms, it was obviously her first class she taught, so she was getting the hang of Notre Dame and stuff. But her background is in cybersecurity, and she's a very big brain. And so I would think that by now she's probably kind of found her
groove.
Yeah. And then this will probably be interesting because I know that she's very, very
This is definitely her expertise, her specialty.
So I would say probably if you're interested in cybersecurity, probably take a gamble. Find out.
Anyone want to talk about Paradigms? They're in it now?
Not a good time.
Not a good time?
Not a good time.
Why not, Brett?
Well, it's a weird thing because you spend more time on stuff that you should know, just putting a semicolon in JavaScript. But then on their exams, you'll ask you these random edge cases. No one ever would know. And so again, I'm not, you can tell you know this stuff, but the class is a mix of going from easy, or a semicolon versus stuff you just wouldn't ever need to know. And then
Did you see your Joanna?
I'm thinking right now.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, and I don't know, some of the homeworks, it's so I don't know.
I mean, the thing I remember with Paradigms was I would get half the exam wrong, and then I somehow end up with over 100. I'm so. What does that say?
So I think this is a case of just like I said with Bill, he doesn't get to make the route, he just drives the bus.
Yeah.
I think now this course is different in that she gets to make the route, plan it all, and drive it too. So I would hope that this execution might be a little bit better.
I can say for Paradigms with her, Selena and I last semester we had Jane, and it's the same structure. So she didn't get to pick the content. It's Jane who wanted it to be.
That course needs
all materials say property or made by Jane Cleveland Long on the bottom.
That course is a fixer upper. Someone needs to go ahead and remodel it.
Can I talk about Paradigms real quick?
Go ahead,
Just
sir.
real quick, take it in the summer with Trey. It's the intense course I've done. I didn't go to any of the lectures.
But that costs money, Carlo.
It costs $8,000. It didn't cost me money to take it, to be honest, but it was a requirement.
I watched him not study for it.
Joseph, you had a question?
What's the difference between that and computer security?
It's a great question. I think secure software engineering is probably a bit more process based, hence the software engineering. And so it talks about practices and fuzzing and like automation and about tooling. So it's about what sort of tools and stuff that you can apply to test for things, whereas computer security is a bit more general and not just focus on the tooling, but other aspects as well, maybe like social engineering and stuff like that.
I guess that like just from having seen descriptions for those two types of classes, secure software engineering is gonna be more like defensive, like what can you do as a programmer to make your stuff less hackable? And then computer security will be a little more offensive, like what are people gonna do to try to go at your stuff?
Any other questions about this course? All right, distributed systems. I'll just tell you, just take it.
Yeah.
D thing. Best instructor in the department, just take it. Don't even question it. Okay. If you don't want to work hard, if you want something easy, then fine, don't take it. But if you enjoyed systems, you enjoyed OS, you enjoyed computer networks, you like how understanding things and how things fit together, you want to work on cool projects and things that sort of grow and change over time, because I think that's just doing like one big project that changes over time.
Yeah.
That's this course. Like this is a great course to pull a lot of things that you learned in your whole time here together. It is work, but I think as people mentioned, Thane will make things entertaining, will keep you engaged.
You have to take a Thane class. Like if you don't, you missed out on part of the NDCS experience.
Yeah, I would say you'd be cheated if you didn't take a Thane course. If you graduated and didn't take a Thane course, so.
I was thinking about doing it, but the 925 is ugly.
Any questions about this course? Well, who else is in compilers besides? So we got a bunch of compilers folks,
I
right?
took distributed systems as well.
Oh, you think you want to talk about that?
I know Brett mentioned that in the curriculum, there's not a lot of software engineering. This class and maybe compilers like absolutely does introduce you to actual software engineering in an incremental way. The homework you do for the first half is like very much building on top of like one thing, and you're adding different concepts of distributed systems on top of it. So you're learning a lot while doing the homeworks. And then the second half is this project you have to do, which genuinely like one of the most rewarding projects I've done. I can't say that about like any of the other projects I've done. I can't remember most of the projects I've done at this point, but that one's still like I'm really proud of. And like I talk about that project with my employers all the time. And the job that also set me up for my job for the summer. Like I felt like it was actually very foundational and like.
Jabbit, did you take it?
Yeah,
And you made what? You made like a DHT, right?
yeah, it was it's what Ethereum uses for routing, but or Catalina had this.
Yeah.
I thought it was really technical. And I felt bad for my partner for making him do that, but yeah, but I can talk about it for jobs. I mean, yeah, it was really good. You should take it. You can pick what you.
All right, you heard the folks. Just take it. Take it. Advanced effects. You're taking that?
Me and I have taken regular.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about slaughter?
Yeah, but I think the prereq for advanced VFX is the regular
Yes.
VFX, but I think it's I think if you're considering like animation or want to go into kind of anything along that route or thinking like Disney or Pixar or stuff for that, then it'd be really important to take. But I think like it's different from I think like computer. I haven't taken computer graphics, but I think that's more like math based or a little more like software-y. This is very much so like using like the animation of Photoshop and like kind of making models, like literally drawing them, not necessarily coding them.
Yeah, I would say it's just like an easy CS elective, like kind of fun. You just do a little like project, very creative. John Slaughter is very nice and friendly. He's very accommodating too. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about.
I mean, again, if you are interested in this line of work, you know, you don't have many courses, so this is one to take you into animation, things like that. And I will say, we do have success getting kids at DreamWorks, at Lucasfilms. I think we had a couple people with they were very excited. There was a movie a couple years ago, animated movie. I don't want to see Minions. It was something else. And they had their names in the credits and they were so proud of themselves. It was Trolls. And so they were very proud. And I was like, Trolls looks like a dumb movie, dude. And then I watched it. Oh, this is amazing. Also, yeah. The color inside or whatever. Anyways, Smart Health with Templeton. You want to talk about that?
I had John, and I think anyone who took fun comp,
He was our TA.
he was a TA, his specialty and his holding is in smart hall. But knowing John, he's a chiller, but probably like against, or like he's too chill for his own good in the sense of like, I don't know how much the class will be like technical, but it's probably interesting. And I think it's gonna be a lot of like evidence that there's like case studies in it too. And so it might not be like, I would have been excited about it, but I feel like it's not gonna be what I expected it to be.
How big is this class? It's a small class, 30 seats.
Yeah.
3?
30. I'm guessing you probably get to use like the Apple Health Kit and stuff like that to make something. Any comments about Templeton or this course? I'm guessing it'd be like a group project thing. So again, try to take with a friend, you know, strengthen numbers. Neural networks with Adam.
So I can just talk about Adam. I have it for computer vision. The class is normally like around half grad students, or it's like a mix of grad and like whoever takes 400 level classes. Right now, computer vision is like goes over my head entirely, and I clock out during lecture because it kind of goes over my head, and the grad students will just like understand it. I'm sure like you'll learn a good deal if you like choose to learn. It's like kind of like you get out what you put in. But
Yeah, I took computer vision with Professor Jaika last semester, last fall, and he's a great guy. He will help you a lot. I mean, I think he's a good instructor too, but it was very, very on the math level of things. It wasn't really like implementing that sort of deal. So it was a lot of, yeah, it was just very mathy. It wasn't really what I expected. I would honestly think more electrical engineers would enjoy that course. It's more in the realms of like signals, stuff like that. So as most of my CS friends, at least, I don't think would enjoy that course. And the assignments in that course, I mean, it's like you said, it's like you're gonna learn as much as you put into the course because the assignments are pretty doable without really understanding what you're doing. And there's just like a final project at the end of the semester, which is kind of cool, but that's about it. So definitely.
Did he do the Jeopardy final?
He did do the Jeopardy final. It was his final was, so it was just 10 multiple choice questions, but it wasn't like a normal exam. It was, so you have the first question and you have to write down your answer on like a little piece of paper, and then you turn it in and then he discusses the answer. So as you're doing the exam, you know how you're doing, and you can clearly see people in the room just having meltdowns. And it was like, and like, yeah, and I needed like 8 out of 10 of the questions to get an A, and I got my first 2 wrong, and I was just like, oh my God, I hate my life, this is terrible. So I do think overall it was a really fun final, but not at all what you expect. Like,
any other comments about Adam or about neural networks? All right, introduction to droid building. This is only for seniors, basically.
Oh, yeah, you go. Christine and I took that. We worked on a droid together, our cat droid.
How did it turn out?
Pretty good. We got it to dance and move autonomously.
It did fry like 2 hours before the final, but it was really nice. They let us like upload our code to another droid, but it was definitely like a class where there's lots of ups and downs. But if you're like a CS person who wants to learn more electrical things without like realizing you're learning electrical, that would be the class. But you can take it as we took it as juniors.
Okay.
But it was a cool like project to talk about too, and for like interviews and stuff.
John, do you want to say that?
Yeah, I'm taking it right now, and I want to say like, I find it just like extremely fun also, like just like the hands-on, it's very hands-on. Yeah, like electrical hands-on. And I think there's a lot of like, right now, there's been a lot of funny moments of just like, so I'm doing with Vito, I'm just like, all right, Vito, it's like, plug this in, and then I'm looking at it, and then it goes burst up in the smoke. I'm like, what did you do? And it switched like ground and voltage, or ground and VCC,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, so that's funny. And then the teacher's just like, oh, okay, just get another one. So it's a really fun class.
So if you want to do something hands-on, anything remotely close to robotics, this is the course. And most of the students that take it love it. So, but you definitely take this with a friend. Don't get stuck with a rando. strength in numbers.
Oh, it would not be, I don't think it would be that fun if it was like someone I didn't know.
No, you
I
definitely
would
want
feel
to-
comfortable being like insane.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I haven't taken like that many EE or like CPEG classes. Would you still recommend that class?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I didn't take like embedded system.
No, they like,
Has no reps, right?
they'll like walk you through everything. Like literally, everything. They'll show you like the exact picture of what to do. And then he'll like, and you can
Not
ask.
complete, they don't walk you through everything, but.
Okay, you can ask. That's true. No, like, and also like the pictures they show, like the
Yeah, it's
color,
very-
it's not, my colors don't match. And I have no
Yeah.
idea which ones to use, but if you just ask though.
Yeah.
So- And if things blow up, then you just get another part.
Yeah.
We have two left. We have two left. There's topics in mathematical logic.
New.
No, I think this is just a cross-listed course from math, so no one cares. And then there's interactive dialogue systems. Did anyone take this course?
No, but I heard painful things about it.
Painful things, really, because it's supposed to be like the Alexa voice
Well,
agent.
sorry, I guess painful in just lots of, what's it? You have to manually type out all these phrases and it's a lot of, it's boring work. I've heard it is really cool. But you spend a lot of time doing like grunt work to get the cool stuff to work. Like, I've heard this, like, it's just an insane amount of.
So what this is like the Siri, Alexa
Yeah,
type
you
stuff,
have
right?
to like fill out all those stuff for it to like, what you can say to it, what stuff it can get for you.
Sure.
It's always like filling in sentences and.
Does anyone want to talk about Colin as an instructor?
Oh, is it McMillan? Oh, Colin's so nice. But also like, I know people who are like, I mean, it's also just like systems a couple years ago, just like people were like panicking in that class. It would be like, you would have these like programming assignments during the tests that were like, people would not finish and they would just be like, how can I get a 0? But Colin, I really like them as an instructor though, so. And also he has like an infatuation with dinosaurs, so. Yeah,
The dinosaur thing.
like every programming assignment was like, here's a dinosaur esky or I don't know. So.
I think that's it, unless you guys have questions for the panel. We're good, all right, thank you. Thanks for the panel. And thank you for coming. Do we have any chicken left? Feel free to help yourself.
Like they added like